Well, I got asked an interesting question the other day, which is what is personal power to me? I feel like we could talk about that for months. A part of it is what is personal power? Some people abuse it. Some people look at it as a place of ego and narcissism, meaning power, right? Other people that envy that, or even the proper way of having power, which we'll get into in a minute. It depends on what's the come from. Why is power important? And once the power is there, what is it being used for? Right? So when I think about personal power, I think about myself being able to stay calm in a angered situation or a sad situation. I think about it being my ability to have people around me kind of act a fool and keep my wits about me and be able to process what's going on for me and possibly process what's going on for them. Well, they're in anger, they're in shame, they're in avoidance, so they're acting out, right? And my ability to stay calm, to me, that's personal power. Something that just came to my mind too is like when I'm in a room, sometimes I lead from the rear because it's not my opportunity to learn. It's not my opportunity to lead. It's my opportunity to follow, monitor, and support someone else in their growth, in their tasting power, so that they go home more confident and more ready to be a better parent or a better company owner or more solution oriented because they had that struggle that I allowed to happen instead of me taking over all the time. But there's a grace in who's who's the players in this right now and who could benefit the most from this growth opportunity. Well, it's not me. Well, sometimes it is, right? Um, and sometimes it's not. There's an opportunity for me to step back on purpose. To me, that's power. I say I want a bigger, better world, and I want to empower other people around me. And sometimes that's what it looks like: is stepping back so other people have an opportunity to practice with their leadership, so that their confidence is better. So I sit and I think about that as well. I remember one time I had a mentor of mine. I was staffing these classes, and she told me that she wanted me to start doing the videos because it was a week-long class and there was always a video. Taking pictures of people doing this, take pictures of people doing that, and then edit it, put music to it, and at the end of the week they show the video. And I was like, I don't know how to use computers, and she was like, it's a process, and it'll be good for you, and it'll be like art because I'm all artsy, right? And I remember thinking, ugh, no, I don't want to do that. She goes, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you to do it. She goes, I didn't know how to be in a room without leading it. And so I was capsizing opportunities for all these other staff people to come up and what I already talked about, practicing, right? They're not going to go home and be Cary Grant. They're going to go home and be Susie and Bob and not me, for Pete's sake. I do things differently. And I remember stepping into it, and I did fall in love with videos, and now I know how to do them, which is cool. And I did them for years because then I would go to the editing room to edit, and then I would come out and there'd be a staff meeting going on, and I would take two steps in, and I could see that they were doing things a strange way, maybe not the most effective, maybe costing themselves some time, but they were committed to doing it that way. Like they were, okay. And I started to understand what she said. And then I just took two steps right back out of the room, went back to my editing station, and without looking for all the right words, is allowing that space. Um, Personal power. Yeah, I'm going to check the time. So 4 minutes, okay? So that'll get edited out. When I sit and I think about personal power, also is like for me, it's my ability to stay humble, which is always a strange word for me. But stay connected to who I am and where I'm going without being gross about where I'm at currently. I'm Cary Grant, and having some grace in that, and in a way, it's the difference in knowing, I used to play checkers and now I play chess. And so there's a lot of moves to take, and there's sacrifices in that for the larger picture. My ability to not be down in it and soar over it to get an overview. Somebody said you can't really see your life if I'm always zoomed in. I gotta zoom out. And so when something happens for me, like anger or sadness, right? I love that I'm able to kind of sometimes, most of the time, I'm not sure. I'm able to connect to, oh, I'm sad. When is that serving me, or am I bastardizing it in some way where it's manipulation or see me or some kind of weird neediness, or no, I'm sad, and how do I want to move through it to what's next to get the goal? And I think that that's a very powerful thing for me over time because, you know, back in the day, I was a drug addict. I was a speed addict. And so to come from where I'm at to now, I can look at that one and go, okay, growth patterns, right? Growth patterns. And now it's so obvious for me to be able to take a breath and see what's going on for me, and then moving into what I know, using the tools that I know that'll get me where I'm going, and it's not pulling the pin and having collateral damage around me, whether it's anger or sadness, right? So when I sit and I think about personal power, I think about my ability and other people's ability to stay focused and committed when things might start not doing exactly the way they are, where a coward could show up. Well, that didn't work out, right? But having that fortitude to stay the course, even though things may kind of change along the way, if you will, or when other people want to give up, it's me keeping going. It's staying focused on what I know I can do, even though there's a hiccup, or knowing what I can do, even though the timeline has changed, or people are coming in and out of that vision. So that was another part of personal power I thought about. I think that's a good way to go into being checked on influence, right? I think a part of my personal power is I can be in a room full of people that say it's green. And if I know it's purple, I can stay to it. I don't fold that easily. I'm clean on what I believe in, and I don't get influenced very much by other people or other people's ideas, or which can be a detriment too, right? But I don't get influenced by other people to a degree. Obviously, I do, right? I'm so committed to what I know of myself or my vision or where I'm going. It's almost like blinders, and I think that that's a power. That when all else around me loses their mind, can I keep mine? Or the if point. I also, when I think about personal power, it's my ability to influence people to positive action, to be able to see the players and the parts and the pieces and where they say they want to go versus what actions they're actually putting into where they're going, right? Are they misleading themselves? Are they think they're doing it a certain way and they're not, if you will, right? And so my ability and my personal, when I think about power, is being able to not so much tell them what to do, but ask questions to get them there, or guide, or without, do this, right? Because that's incredibly dangerous. Then, especially for leaders, you can become the guru. And my one is always to empower people to go and do it for themselves, right? If they're saying my name for too long, that's a problem. That's I don't know. I don't find a lot of value in that. So however, supporting people in transformation and or refinement, and having that covert way of doing it where they get there on their own through tools dropped, or what do you think about, or asking questions that draw out maybe what I know I want the answer to be, but drawing out of them. Idako, it's coming out of them. It's something they already know. And if I can ask in a way where I can get them to realize it on their own, they become powerful versus taking a look at me. And I think that is that's huge when it comes to when I think about my personal power, right? So now I want to head into talking about power too with discipline, which is not exactly my favorite word. It's, I have discipline to go to the gym and shape my body and not eat candy and all of these things. It's discipline. Oh, your body shows like you have a lot of discipline, right? For me, the way I was grew up, discipline is not exactly a good word. So I tend to avoid it. And I was talking with a buddy of mine the other day, and we came up with the difference between discipline and diligence. I'm very diligent. I could say that of myself. And I can say that I'm dedicated to how I want my abs to look, which I could show you all of them right now. All right. And it is diligence and dedication to having something in it. And I've found, because in the last year I've lost 85 pounds. I gave it away. And it's brought so much confidence into so many areas in my life. And I feel that power. It's like I'm just more confident. I hold myself differently. I don't even actually have to say as much anymore, because it's like, obviously I know what discipline or dedication or diligence is, whichever word you want to fit in there, if not all three. And that's powerful, right? Yet when I did it, I did it to get away from weighing so much, right? And I got a 6-year-old fixing to be 7 next week. I wanted to live longer. Yet the power that's come out of it has shaped other things, my relationships. Like, I don't tend to get as angry anymore or want to overpower someone in a conversation where, you need to learn this. And it's like, well, they're going to learn it in their own time. And I believe that there's a grace that comes along with being powerful once noticed. What is the power being utilized for? How's it being wielded, right? Is it for glory that you're trying to shine on yourself, or I'm trying to shine on myself? I'll speak for mine, right? Is it power because I threw shade on somebody else and it leaves me the biggest man in the room? Is it power to manipulate so that I can get my wife to do what I want her to do, but I manipulated her to do it because I'm, right? I know enough tools to do that. So power can be incredibly useful used the right way. I know that I feel powerful. I've owned my own business for 21 years, the concrete coatings company, and I've staffed an immense amount of leadership seminars, and I do feel powerful because I get feedback from people. Oh, you talked to me 4 or 5 years ago, and what you said to me was the thing that got me to ask my wife to get married, or quit my job, or open up a new company, or whatever. And I have a sense of power in that, but that's also from a place of feedback. It's not personal. I can actually shirk that away or actually have it go to my head. You know what I mean? So it's how does it land and how am I utilizing it? For me, my power that I love is that I love to contribute. I love to empower other people. So when I think about power, it's very difficult for me to think of the word power without thinking about empowering other people. It's a process. Learning to be and being powerful has been a process for me. Coming from being a drug addict to a life that I never really thought I'd have. And also, there's not a Ferrari in my driveway. I'm not talking about that. I don't need that. I wouldn't be. If it works out, I'll take one, but I don't need it. It's not the point. It's been a journey, and it's been honoring it along the way. It's been being Inspector Clouseau. How am I utilizing that power? Am I shrinking other people around me? Am I Am I enrolling other people or am I being enrolled? Right? Am I having conversations that are powerful, or am I having conversations about, I don't know, getting drunk and not going to school the next day, or whatever, right? What kind of conversations am I in? And I'm in powerful conversations. And to be clear, I'm not always powerful, right? I'm not always the best dad I want to be, and I'm not always the best husband I want to be. So it's, fleeting and something that needs to be practiced and utilized and, excuse me, looked at through me like I'm looking at it, and then placing it correctly,